All right. Over there in the kitchen at this moment, take a shot. There you go. Joel Sherman, the president of Nat Sherman Tobacconists. And the Butterfield 8 cigar, how are you? It's going to be at our cigar smoker in Grand Wailea Resort in Maui, right?
Indeed it will.
Now show us which one it is.
Actually, the Butterfield 8 would be one of the ones found in here. It's part of a series of cigars that we have, and it's just one of the, actually there'll be 3 or 4 of our cigars being presented at the dinner.
Right.
What we have here is a complete array of different cigars, and not only in sizes, but in blends of flavoring, which, you know, was a subject which we thought we could talk about, and maybe if you wanted to.
What makes a good cigar? What makes a great cigar?
There are 2 components in a cigar that are equally important. One is the tobacco and the blending of that tobacco. The second component, which is often overlooked, is the manufacturing of that cigar. An even drawing, smooth burning cigar that gives you consistent pleasure is just as important as what goes into it.
How many people out there in TV land would even guess that we have to thank the state of Connecticut for the wrappers for cigars? Do you think many people know that?
I think that's a good point.
She knew it. Katie knew it.
I knew it.
You grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. The shade-grown leaf grown in Connecticut was the prime wrapper for the Cuban cigars in their heyday, and to this day remains as one of the finest cigars. As a matter of fact, the cigar that we've chosen to go with tonight's dinner, which is this number 500, and we'll have that afterwards when we enjoy some of the food, is indeed made with a Connecticut wrapper.
That's great.
Or Connecticut seed, no longer grown in Connecticut.
Most cigars now come, of course, from the Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic.
So all the Cuban emigres, they fled there?
Indeed. There, Honduras. There were some other areas, but it is pretty much centralized now.
Katie had a question just before we went on the show tonight, which was?
Well, remember the movie Gigi?
Yes.
You know, she had that lesson where she had to smell the cigar and then go like this to the cigar. Do you really have to do that?
No.
No.
Okay.
What a great question that was.
But it's good because they did that in the movie.
They did?
Yeah.
They made rather a big deal of it.
What it amounts to is there's been a tremendous amount of myth been associated with cigars as opposed to the reality. I've always believed that cigars have enough natural romance and enough natural story about it that's really enjoyable and interesting that you don't have to get into the myth. Rolling a cigar like that could well break the delicate wrapper. Indeed, cigars in Europe in those days were smoked drier, so, you know, feeling it was important. And today, feeling a cigar is still the best way for you to know.
Do you have to smell it?
Smell it is just a matter of pleasure. You smell a fine port, you smell a good dish.
And boy, have we opened a great 77 port, which we'll have a little later in the end of the evening. Now, all these cutters over here.
Is that what they are?
These are cutters. These are very unusual, right? But is there a right and a wrong way to cut a cigar?
There are 3 basic kinds of cuts. You have a notch or a V cut, you have a guillotine flat cut, and you have the commonly used tooth cut, but we don't use that here in public. We like to
break it off with your teeth and...
Exactly.
You got it.
It's what I do and nobody's looking. We like to recommend the V or the notch cut, which can be found in either a table model such as this or in a pocket model such as this. Cutter like these will have both the guillotine flat cut or the notch cut. But the notch of the V tends to give you a more cohesive head. It doesn't break the head of the cigar. It doesn't break the integrity of the making for unraveling, and it cuts in deep enough to get a good flavor.
This is very intellectual stuff.
This is macho stuff.
All right, why don't we cut one open? Cut one open. Let's light it. Let me draw in. Let me give you a verdict. And remind everybody that Nat Sherman has been at the crossroads of America, 42nd and 5th for how many years?
Well, we've been in business for about 64 years
64 years. See, that's the perfect way. Can you see that?
There's a little V in the front of it.
Look at that. Perfect. Now, is it good to dip this into brandy before you smoke it, or is not necessary? That's another affectation.
It's a fun thing to do.
I often do it.
I mean, it's a fun thing to do. I think some purists would say, oh, you can't do that. The fact is, it does taste good if you do it, and the smoke mixes with the brandy and gives you a nice flavor.
Now, do you sort of do that before you smoke it, or it's not necessary?
I think the most important thing about cigar smoking is your personal pleasure. The best cigar in the world is the one that you like best. What you like to do with it. The whole ambiance of smoking, the whole enjoyment of smoking comes from your personal enjoyment and your personal taste.
Personally, I like a good woman to light my cigar. Would you
How do I do it?
Just,
Joel
Joel
will
will
give you a
show
lesson
you.
on it.
Okay.
By the way, Robin, if I may interject, you started to remove the band. A question
No, I
that I
didn't.
get all the time.
No, I was fiddling with it. No,
Myth
I always,
or fact?
I always leave
To
the
get to
band
the
on.
bottom of it.
Okay.
Okay, what do I do?
All right. We're going to do it. The first thing is you don't want the flame to touch the cigar. Now, it doesn't matter whether you use a match or a butane lighter, not a fluid lighter that leaves a taste. Okay? Now, put the cigar in your mouth.
Okay.
Okay, and keep it where it is, and I'm going to hold the flame underneath it and puff gently and rotate the cigar as you do it. Okay, keep it going, and you see in a moment the whole cigar will ignite. Here it comes.
You don't exhale, you
You're blowing.
inhale.
I know, but I don't want to. I'm afraid I'm going to get.
You keep blowing the lighter out.
What am I going to do with it all?
Enjoy it.
Can we
I lit it.
enjoy
Am I
it?
you
supposed
light
to
one for
inhale
you,
it?
Robin?
Am I supposed to inhale
Again, keep
it?
that flame slightly away from the cigar and rotate the cigar as you go, and you'll watch the flame jump from the
there we
lighter
go.
to the cigar. You see how that
He's
goes?
blowing it out too.
Oh, you know.
Just look at him.
Okay.
They're not showing it when he did it.
Elegance. Dilettantes. The right way to live.
The myth, the fact.
It's true.
How come you don't have ladies at this cigar thing in Hawaii?
Because there are very few ladies that can smoke a cigar as well as you're smoking it.
So I'm invited then?
You've still got my gold card.
I do.
All right. Joel, we thank you. You're going to stick around because we're going to drink some port and smoke some fine cigars after we cook the lobster a little later, all right?
Sounds like a great
and then
idea.
you and I are going to play at the Grand Wailea Resort in Maui.
Absolutely.
Weekend after this at a cigar smoker, the first Hawaiian cigarette smoker for gentlemen only in Hawaii, a week and a
I've got
half
the gold
from now.
card.
Plus, maybe Robin and Katie. All right, we'll be back with Simon Jones, a man who speaks a proper English that the Queen approves. Stick with us here at Talking Food. We'll be right back in just a moment.